It is about time we had another look at our Championship managerial rankings. We last did this 3 months ago in July in the close season, and we're really looking at managers' CVs and history when we're doing that. We can get right into the moment and how are these managers performing now. We'll rank from worst to best. Think of them like those power rankings you see in American sport, all subjective. So with that being said, get your views down there in the comments. With this being the Championship, we have had 2 departures. Therefore, we have 2 new entries since we last did this. And we'll start with our first new entry, which is Narcis Pelach, who is going to come in at number 24. He's bottom of our list, but think of it as just a non-vote, basically. He's been a Championship manager for 1 day. It wouldn't really be fair to rank him above anybody or below anybody. So we'll just stick him nominally at the start of our list and wish him the best of luck at Stoke, where many have tried and many have failed. Certainly he'll go up our list if he can get Stoke moving nice and quickly. Tim Walter is down 2 places at number 23. If you remember, in the summer we had 3 new foreign managers that we kind of had no information on in terms of English football, in Walter and Thorup and Les Bris. It's been a bad start for Hull. We've got no wins yet for Hull under Tim Walter, and they don't really seem to be executing his style of football yet. Hopefully he can move up this list. It's been a complicated transfer window, hasn't it? But, you know, we have no grounds for him climbing. Therefore, the only way is down for Tim Walter. But up 2 places is Wayne Rooney. We had him at the bottom of our list. Plymouth are at the 1 point per game mark. If he stays there and finishes with 46 points and Plymouth survive, he's going to keep climbing this list through the season, but very badly damaged in my eyes by the horrible run at Birmingham last season, which had him bottom. So I've jumped him up 2 places for the point per game so far at Argyle. Rooney at 22. And John Mousinho, I feel a bit harsh doing this because this obviously comes with the big caveat that Portsmouth's fixtures have been utterly awful. We didn't know quite where to pitch Mousinho after a brilliant League One Championship in his first full season. I dropped him in at 19th, but it's been a bad start, hasn't it? The second bottom, no wins. So I've dropped him down 2 places, but that is with the massive caveat that their fixtures really couldn't have been that much harder so far. And maybe when the fixtures even out, there's a chance for Mousinho to get a green number there rather than a red number. And it's a slight red number for Johannes Hoff-Thorup. Obviously, again, he was one of those 3 new foreign managers who we bracketed all joint at number 21 last time. So we'll pop him up 1 place. Norwich have got their first win. Again, like Tim Walter at Hull, really complicated transfer window. I can see what he's trying to do. I think it will come over the long term. So some signs of positivity, but no grounds really to put him up massively so far. So Thorup at number 20. And at number 19, wow, is our biggest faller, Erol Bulut, who is under pressure at Cardiff. He's had the dreaded vote of confidence. We know Mr. Town will act quickly. They've got Leeds at the weekend as well. So watch this space on Erol Bulut. He was up in 12th, really, on the basis of kind of surpassing expectations at Cardiff last season in terms of the big picture. Bottom of the league, bad start. And in the words of Queen and David Bowie, under pressure. Keep your eyes peeled there for, where things are going to pan out in the next couple of weeks for Erol Bulut. And Liam Maninov knocked off 2. It feels like he's under pressure at Bristol City as well. He's got no real kind of credibility yet at Championship level. Only that massive 3rd place finish with MK Dons. I mean, look where they are now in League One a few years ago. Did well at Oxford briefly, but Bristol City fans not totally impressed with what they're seeing. I've got him 18th in my list. They're 17th in the table, and he drops down 2 places. Needs a winning run. Don't we all need a winning run? And there you go. somebody who's had a winning run and a brilliant start to life in the Championship. Yes, he got his first defeat this past round down at Plymouth. But Regis Les Bris with Sunderland, just magnificent start. And again, I've mentioned the group of three managers, Hoff-Thorup and Les Bris. Well, surely he's been by far the best so far of those three. So we will bang him up 4 places. And I tell you what, if he keeps Sunderland where they are right now, they're in the automatic places. He's going to be all the way at the top of this list by the end of the season. Difficult to do that. He's made a brilliant start. And so is Des Buckingham. He's up 4 places as well. I guess we had him a little bit higher than Les Bris and the foreign lads who just come in, just because Buckingham's got some credibility in English football in terms of that brilliant promotion with Oxford last season through the playoffs. And it's just turning into a brilliant run at Oxford, currently 7th in the table. I'm sure Oxford fans would love to stop the count, stop the clocks right now. And he is going great guns. And how long will this brilliant run continue for Des Buckingham? Up 4 at 16. And up 2 as well, Luke Williams of Swansea. I've got to admit, I was a bit unsure going into the season. And you kind of think, how's this going to go? But decent start. Swansea in the top half of the table. Already got a couple of wins. Look, if they finish there, I think that's job well done. And he'll continue to climb the list. So I've bumped him up 2 for the start. And he is 15th, Luke Williams. And 14th is Tom Cleverley, who, you can't really criticise for his run at Watford so far. There's always kind of scrutiny on Watford because of the sheer number of managers they have. Kind of dove in, is that the right word, at the end of last season. Quite a lot of draws, but some difficult fixtures. And a great start this season. Watford, I know they haven't won in the last couple, but they won the first 3. They're up in the top 6. And if he has Watford moving in and around the top half, the top 10, his reputation is going to grow big style cleverly. So I've had to bump him up 4 from 18 at the start of the season into 14. And into 13 is a complete non-mover. Now, I get the argument, Ben, why is Paul Warne a non-mover when Derby have had such a good start? I got quite a lot of feedback saying I probably had Paul Warne a little bit high in the first instance. So maybe I'm equaling that out. Look, I'm a fan of him as a bloke. The argument people were making is, look, Ben, he's been relegated like 3 times. And I was trying to balance that against the expectations at Rotherham. So I'm going to leave Warne at 13. But brilliant start for Derby, who are up with Oxford on 9 points as well. Into the top half, we find John Eustace. And, I mean, outstanding for Eustace at Blackburn. They're 3rd. And really, he's got to keep moving up this list, hasn't he? Because in the short run at Birmingham last season, I think they were either 6th or 7th when he was bombed out by Knighthead Capital. Yeah, it was sticky with Blackburn towards the end of last season, but he was going into a really tricky situation, and he is doing so well and very much deserves to be in the top half of this list and will continue climbing if he keeps producing what he produced at Birmingham and is currently producing this season at Blackburn. Great job by Eustace. At 11, we have a faller, and it's the greatly hyped Danny Rohl, who we were all very, very excited about what he was going to do this season. So I had him up in 9th. Brilliant start. Won the first game 4-0. Poor run since then. 3 defeats and a draw. So just knocked off a couple of places. I know it's still early days for Danny Rohl. We still think in the long term he's going to be a great manager. Already has been, really, for Sheffield Wednesday with that magnificent survival last season. But just on the basis of that recent run, it just knocked him down a couple of places below Marti Cifuentes. And it's just a running joke in Championship coverage and punditry now that you have QPR and Sheffield Wednesday right together, one above the other. So we'll keep Cifuentes still, QPR in the top half of the table. He's doing his thing. And instead of moving Cifuentes, we'll move Rohl 1 below. So they are permanently stuck together like glue for the long run. Neil Harris, I've dropped down to 9. Now, again, this one got a lot of feedback as well. It's like, come on, Ben. He was with Gillingham and he was with Cambridge. But looking at his championship work and that brilliant great escape last season, we had to fly him right up the list, and I had him up in 7th. Not a great start, 1 win so far, so maybe we're going to come back to earth and regress to the mean, but I've still got a fair bit of history working in Neil Harris's favour this season, and the question from all the Millwall fans is, can you churn out anywhere near, 13 games or something last season? What he did in that period over 46. Here is a non-mover in Michael Carrick, and I'm just going to stall on Carrick so far. If we did this list towards the end of the 21-22 season, where Borough had a brilliant run to the playoffs, he would be right up there. Since then, well, he's really still trading on that, isn't he? And I'm still looking at Middlesbrough 10th in the table. Decent squad, a bit more settled now after a pretty horrible exodus of stars last season. But they're still a bit flaky. Borough still have good underlying numbers and, maybe not the wins to back it up. So I can't really justify moving Carrick up or down, and he's going to stay in 8th. And in 7th is a new entry. And speaking of that 21-22 season, we've got to parachute Paul Heckingbottom in pretty high up the list, haven't we? And I know parachute is an operative word there because Sheffield United were a parachute team, but the last thing Heck did in the Championship was get promoted, and we have to pay that a lot of respect. Look, I'm sure he'll level out a little bit with Preston, who are currently 21st in the table, but yeah, I've got to be respectful of that promotion last time out at Sheffield United, and you tell me in the comments, we'll pitch him in at 7th and, move up or down accordingly. New entry there for Paul Heckingbottom, replacing Ryan Lowe. Top 6, Mark Robins will drop 1 place. Now, we always have the same comments from Coventry fans every time, and I understand that on the history of what Mark Robins has done for Coventry, every Coventry fan would have him number 1, and they wouldn't have anyone else in the known universe managing the team. Fine, I get that, but I've got to pitch him in, with what everybody else is doing in the Championship at their clubs and what everybody else is doing right now. So, whilst paying respects to the amazing job Mark Robins has done to take Coventry all the way up from League 2, League 1, all the way to the bloody playoff final, penalty shootout, extra time, that close to getting there. He's done an amazing job. Bad start, though, this season. So we've knocked him down 1 place from 5th, where we had at the start of the season. If he completes the job and takes Coventry to the Premier League, then you know what's going to happen in this list. But we're just hovering a bit with this repeated pattern of slow starts at the CBS. And loads of debate about Chris Wilder in the earlier videos. Again, I was completely split because in 2018-19 and 2019-20, not only would Chris Wilder have been number 1 in this list, he might have been right near the top of the Premier League list after taking Sheffield United from League 1 all the way through to 9th in the Premier League. And the question I've been asking is now, after a bit of a crappy time at Middlesbrough and a cup of tea at Watford, are we now getting the original Chris Wilder back? He seems to have a bit of a spring in his step and a glint in his eye. Sheffield United have started the season well, so I've just swapped Wilder and Robins purely on the basis of what's happened thus far. And I'll have Wilder still high in the list, up at number 5. And there is a faller. And Rob Edwards was difficult to judge, wasn't he? Because his managerial career had just been A++, hadn't it? Forest Green, promotion, Watford, cup of tea. We just said that about Chris Wilder. Promotion immediately at Luton. And, I mean, you tell me what you think. A fairly good fist of it in the Premier League, I think. But really bad start here. They've got the first win. So I did have Rob Edwards at number 2 in this list in the pre-season based on a pretty, unimpeachable start. But I've just had to knock him down a couple of places. Big expectations now at Luton. We've had the conversation. Are Luton better as an underdog? He's got to manage that situation now with Luton being a Year 1 parachute team and everyone expecting them to deliver. Down 2, Rob Edwards. And down 2 also, Daniel Farke, who was my number 1 in July. Still on the basis of 2 magnificent promotions at Norwich. We're not judging work in the Premier League here. We're talking about Championship level managers. And if Daniel Farke was a proven Premier League manager, we would absolutely not be talking about him in this list because he would be managing in the Premier League. Go figure. Lots of debate about the 90 points. I get both sides of the argument that, yeah, you can say on the one hand, it's a bit of a stiff view that he should have taken Leeds up last season. I look at it more on Ipswich had a freak season and they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I kept him at number 1. But little bit of a slow start. Leeds currently in 9th. And look, the expectations and the bar is very high for Daniel Farke. If he's not in the top 2, he's going to have a red number. If he is in the top 2, he's going to be gravitating back up to number 1 again. Pretty binary there. But a great debate over Farke at the moment with the Leeds fans. And given he's just beaten Daniel Farke, and he also has 2 promotions, I've got to probably put Scott Parker above the German. Burnley currently 4th. They are ratcheting at 2 points per game. Scott Parker's been here, done it before. He's complete Marmite. I get it. I'll get comments saying he's great. I'll get comments saying he's the Antichrist. That's football YouTube and football debate for you. But if he's in and around the top 4 and in the promotion race, he's doing the job he's been brought in for and he's done before. And he's currently outperforming Farke, isn't he? We have to say, and he literally just beat him at the weekend. So I'll switch them around. Parker above Farke. But the hot hand right now in the Championship, there's no debate, is there really at the moment? Carlos Corberan, he's number 1 in the table. He's number 1 in my list. I've got to say, I did doubt Don Carlos a little bit. I thought, oh, is West Brom's squad deteriorating a little bit? And it crept up on me. No, they look all right, don't they? And the depth actually looks okay. And my concerns have now turned into, oh, he's doing it again, Carlos, isn't he? You know, amazing job to take Huddersfield to 3rd and, you know, a playoff final back in. It was 21-22. I've referenced that season a few times here, haven't I? And West Brom in the playoffs last season, despite some pretty much carnage off the pitch and a change in ownership. And he's come out of the gates, and I like the look of the next few fixtures, and maybe he's not going to be budging in our power rankings. Carlos Corberan up 3 at number 1. There you go. That is our Championship managers ranked. Get involved in the comments. I know it'll fall on deaf ears, but everybody stay calm. It's a conversation starter. It's a debate starter. I'm not right. I'm not wrong. That's my opinion. You're not right. You're not wrong. I know people get very emotional about the clubs they support. Just take a breath. Watch to the end of the video. Reflect a little bit before you get really angry, because ultimately, very originally, you want the manager of the club you support to be 5 places higher than I've put them. Put yourself in my shoes. I hear that a hell of a lot every single day of my life. So try and take a bit more of a nuanced position. We can have a really good debate about it in the chat. And if you want to reference back to what I said in July, we will pop that video up there in the link. Go and watch that one back and you can see a bit more of my rationale. There are your Championship managers ranked.